Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Please, thank you for coming to Colombia. How are you?
I'm okay, but I've just been on the road since the middle of January with just a few days off in between countries. So it gets a bit exhausting and I haven't finished yet. There's a lot of the year left to go and I think it's 14 countries to visit before Christmas.
14 before
so.
December.
Mm.
And where do you spend Christmas, for example?
At home in UK.
Your home is UK?
Yes, the house I grew up in, my sister lives permanently there and I go in between tours.
Okay, Jane, and after all this time and every work that you have done, do you think it's been worth?
Absolutely. I mean, I've just come from this meeting of roots and shoots from Latin America, and it's grown all over the world. We're in 70 countries, young people of all ages, choosing and working on projects to make the world better, one for people, one for animals, one for the environment. And kindergarten through university, more and more adults taking part. It's changing the world.
And do you think that the young people today understand more the message that you are sending to them than before, or different, or how?
Well, of course they understand more because it's in the news, it's everywhere. You can't go anywhere without hearing about what's happening. So of course they're more aware.
But they have more conscience now about the work that the people needs to do in order to reestablish the world, or not?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How do you do to keep your hope?
Well, my biggest hope is the young people, because I just, everywhere I go, and once they know the problem and they're empowered to take action and they can choose their action, they just roll up their sleeves and they get out there planting trees, clearing litter, changing the parents and grandparents, changing their teachers, helping people to understand that animals are sentient beings and not just little machines. There's no end to what they're doing.
And chimpanzees are your favorite animals?
No. Chimpanzees are much too like people.
Oh, really?
No, my favorite animal is the dog, because when I was a child, I had the most amazing relationship with a dog. And when I went to Cambridge University after being with the chimps 2 years, never having been to college because we couldn't afford it, and I was told by these learned professors I'd done everything wrong. Chimpanzees shouldn't have names. They should have numbers if you're a scientist. You can't talk about their personality, their mind capable of solving problems, certainly not their emotions like happiness, sadness, fear, because those are unique to us. Well, I'd been taught by this dog, Rusty, that was rubbish.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. And do they have emotions?
Absolutely.
Like every animal?
Well, I wouldn't say every animal, since worms are animals. I'm not sure if they have emotions, but certainly, the normal dogs, cats, pigs, rats, rabbits, birds. Rabbits. Do you know you can teach goldfish?
No way.
There's a Chinese man I think there's 5 goldfish on each side, and they try to get a ball away from each other and push it through a goal.
No way.
Yes, and rats are helping to demine countries like Mozambique, where landmines are being left under the ground after the Civil War.
Yeah, that I know.
And their sense of smell is so great. I've watched them being trained. They're giant forest rats, and they can live 9 years. And they're completely amazing. Now they're being taught to find live people underneath the rubble after an earthquake or a landmine.
And when I'm asking about emotions, do they feel like love, probably, loneliness?
They will certainly feel loneliness. Love, it's hard to define what we mean by love, but I would say the love of a chimpanzee mother for her child is the same as a human mother for her child. I don't think they have the sort of romantic love that we have between a man and a woman.
Okay, but yes, with their children.
Yes.
And you have your own motherhood, by the way, in Africa, in a time in which the chimpanzees were also having motherhood. What differences or similarities did you find in that process, in being a mother for a human and for an animal? Well,
I think actually it's very similar. And the most important thing for the young child, at least during the first 2 to 3 years, is to have a supportive 2 or 3 people around. And hopefully it'll be the mother. But some women just don't seem to, they don't have that mothering instinct, really. But it doesn't matter as long as the child has 1, 2, 3 people they can always rely on, who are always there, who will support them. So for me, when I was 10 and dreamed of Africa, only my mother supported me. Everybody else laughed. How will you get there? You don't have money. And so, it was the same actually when I was a tiny little girl. I always loved animals. And when I disappeared once for 4 hours and nobody knew where I was staying on a farm, and Mum was about to call the police, and this excited little girl, aged 4, came rushing towards the house. I'd been waiting in a hen house for a hen to come in so I could discover where the hole was, where the hen laid the egg.
Because it was so big, or what?
Well, if you look at a hen, if you look for a hole the size of an egg, you won't see one.
Yeah.
And I didn't know where the egg came out, and nobody would tell me. So I found out for myself.
And how many hours did it take you to do that?
4 hours waiting.
So you disappeared from home for 4 hours?
Yes, well, we were staying on the farm, but, Yeah.
And what did she say, your mother?
She saw my shining eyes and sat down to listen to the amazing story. And had she been a different kind of mother and said, how dare you go off without telling us, don't you dare do that again, that might have killed that curiosity. And I might not have done what I've done.
That's important. Curiosity, no?
Yes, curiosity.
Yeah.
And patience.
And patience. How do you teach and how do you learn patience?
I don't know how you learn it. I just had it.
You had it, but a huge, no? Mm. I can imagine. How many hours could you spend waiting for the chimpanzee to do something in the beginning?
4 months before I could get reasonably close to them.
4.
I was seeing things through my binoculars, but that wasn't what I wanted to do. So 4 months.
And when you say close, what that means? Like touch them or just be close?
No, not
like
touching,
you and me?
Not touching, but I wanted to be as close as at least the length of this room.
And during those 4 months, what did you do?
I climbed up into the mountains every morning early. I came back down when it was dusk, and I found trees that were fruiting and waited and hoped.
Wow.
I also found a peak, and from there I could overlook 2 valleys, and I would sit up there with my binoculars, and then I would see a group of chimps somewhere down there, and I'd go and get, not too close.
And do you remember what did you feel?
Oh, I remember very, very well. And after 4 months, I was beginning to feel despondent and despair. But the story, that it was a British protectorate back then, what's Tanzania today, and the British authorities refused permission for me to go. They said a girl going on her own into the forest, that's not possible.
Why?
It's not safe. Nobody had done it. There was nobody doing that.
Before, never.
No.
Yeah, I know.
And so in the end, they said, oh, she can come, but she has to bring someone. So it was that same supportive mother who came. She was there for those 4 months, boosting my morale, saying, Jane, through your binoculars, you're learning more than you think. And, it was so sad, the breakthrough observation that chimps can use tools to fish for termites. She just left 2 weeks before that. And it was that brought in the National Geographic Society.
I remember that. I know that was so important for you because I live in Washington, D.C., and you had a very big exposition at the National Geographic on 17, and you still have it that. That was the first time that myself as a journalist knew about you. Yeah. So I want to talk about that, but not now. I want to know about your relationship with your mom. What did she do? Why she was so important in your life?
Because she supported me. She always gave me praise where praise was due. Like some parents will say, well, you should have done better. She never said anything like that because she knew I always gave it my best. Okay. And so that kind of relationship with your child is that support, so that your mother is there for you. It might have been my father, but he joined up in the war.
Your father was in the Second War?
Yes.
Okay. And I can guess you came from a middle-class family, right?
Yes, my grandfather was a congregational minister. My mother was looking after us. She was going to college, but then her father died and there was no money, so she had to become a secretary.
And where did you meet Dr. Leakey?
Well, when I was 10, I read about Tarzan, decided I would go to Africa when I grew up and live with wild animals and write books about them. And that's when everybody laughed at me, except Mum. And she said, you know, if you really want to do this, you're going to have to work really hard, take advantage of every opportunity. If you don't give up, hopefully you find a way. Left school, no money for college, did a secretarial course, then get a letter from a school friend who'd moved to Kenya. Went home, worked as a waitress. I could save up enough money, took 4 or 5 months, and then went by boat to Kenya, stayed with my friend, heard about Louis Leakey, went to see him at the museum, and he had just lost his secretary, so that boring secretarial job took me right bang into where I wanted to be with everybody who could tell me about the animals.
Wow. And then was this episode that he sent you to Africa, right?
Yes.
And when you told him that you saw a chimpanzee using a tool,
Stem, yeah.
How was it? What did he say? I know what he did because he sent you you sent him a message, but I would like you to tell me.
At that time, science believed only humans could use and make tools. And because David Graeber was not only picking grass stems, but picking leafy twigs and stripping the leaves, which is modifying an object. And so we were defined back then as man, the tool maker. So Leakey said, well, that we shall have to redefine man, redefine tool, or accept chimpanzees as humans.
Wow. And that changed completely the idea of human, right?
Yes.
And the chimps as well.
Because the chimps are so like us, we share 98.7% of our DNA. And because their behavior is so like us, you know, kissing, embracing, swaggering, they even have a brutal side, but also a loving side. And so that forced science to admit that we weren't the separate creature that they had maintained. I mean, they literally maintained we were totally separate from the rest of the animal kingdom. Because of the chimps, they broke down that non-existent barrier. And so that opened the way for a better understanding of all other animals. And we're still finding, like I've mentioned, goldfish being taught tricks. Well, who would have believed that 20 years ago? Nobody.
Nobody.
Yeah.
And how was for yourself, as a woman, young, pretty, without a study before, getting into this in the scientific society?
Well, Leakey chose me because I hadn't been to college. He said he wanted a brain uncluttered with this reductionist attitude to animals. But he said, after a couple of years, I want science to take you seriously, so you have to get a degree, and I've got a place for you to do a PhD at Cambridge University. That's how that happened.
And how do they treat you?
Well, you know, I was told I'd done everything wrong. But
giving names to the chimpanzees, I can imagine.
That didn't bother me because I knew I was right. But I've never been one to confront things. I just quietly went on talking about chimps the way they are. And then Leakey sent a filmmaker to film this behavior, who I married, Hugo van Lauwijk. And so his film began going around corroborating what I was talking about. So with my writing and his film, science gradually changed its attitude. But they didn't have to say, oh, we're really sorry, Jane was right. No, because that's not how you change people. You reach their heart.
But do they sorry? Do they excuse to you at some point or never?
No, because I wasn't reacting with them to make them do that. I didn't want, you know.
You didn't care?
No.
And when Hugo, the photographer, came to Africa, how did you deal with that? You look like a person who enjoyed to be lonely, no? And how was that?
Well, I was very upset. But on the other hand, you know, I knew that I needed this. So I decided right from the beginning, okay, we'll work on this together and make a go. But I knew I needed the photography and the film. And so, you know, well, eventually we fell in love and married, so.
I know. And you had a boy.
Yep.
And then you broke.
Yes.
Because he wanted to stay. He needed to stay in.
He was filming on the Serengeti.
In the Serengeti,
other
no?
places. And I had to stay at Gombe.
I know. Did you ever get in love again? Fall
Yes,
in love again?
I married a second time.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And how was it? What do you think about love?
Well, I think while it exists, the universe changes.
When it exists? Okay. I'm so curious about the. I've seen the chimpanzees in your work. They are violent as well, right? As humans are. Do you think that we share like a violent gene or something like that with them? Or
Yes.
how do you explain that?
I think, well, what Lewis's belief was, which people accept now, about 6 million years ago, there was an ape-like, human-like creature. And one branch of that, they split, went on to become humans, and the other went on to become chimps. And Leakey believed if Jane sees behavior in chimps, humans today, and chimps today that's similar or the same, probably they brought it with them from that 6 million year old ancestor. And that helped him to guess how the early humans whose skeletons he was digging up might have behaved.
Wow. So that's not something that we can change because it's in our genes.
Well, we can change it because we've developed explosively this intellect. And we are capable. I mean, these wars, like the war in Gaza, that's not a chimpanzee aggressive gene. That's a much, much different kind of emotion. The wars like the chimp wars would be like two tribes living in a remote place competing for dominance or wanting to steal females. That's the kind of violence the chimp has. Our modern wars aren't like that.
Are they monogamous? No.
No.
No. Why we are monogamous then?
Well, I'm not sure we are. And there's many cultures that, you know, like in Tanzania, four wives is common. For the Muslims, you can have
the
four
Muslims
wives.
as well.
And many cultures, you can have more than one wife.
Do the chimpanzees have sex for reproduction only or for pleasure as well, as we as humans?
Oh, I think some of them like it a lot.
Really?
Yeah, yes, Fifi did.
Fifi is the chimpanzee, your
Fifi,
friend.
the chimpanzee. Yes, she really enjoyed the times when she was sexually attractive. She didn't like them to end.
How is your relationship today with the animals that have changed? I can guess that it's something different from the beginning, or what happened with your...
I'm only there twice a year for just a few days. I don't know them anymore. One chimp is left that I really know. And twice she's been down to the house. I'm only there for 4 days, but she's come actually to the house. She somehow senses that I'm there.
So you only go twice a year?
Two.
Two?
Yes, just twice. But, so I don't know the chimps anymore, but they're still being studied. We're in our 63rd year, and we're now just starting the 5th generation. So we're in a position to think, okay, how fascinating. That young chimpanzee invented a new way of using an object, and that was copied by others, so it's come into the culture.
Yeah.
So we can see things beginning. We can notice if some traumatic experience in a young chimp caused that chimp to behave the way it does as an adult. This sort of thing.
Are you conscious that you change science?
Well, everybody tells me.
But how do you feel about it?
Well, how do I feel about it? I'm just pleased because it's led to a better understanding of animals. So, that's really what I care about.
I'm so proud of myself for talking with you today. Are you proud of yourself for everything you've done?
Am I proud? I'm grateful I've been given the opportunity to do what I've done and the chances. I know I've worked hard, but it's a mixture.
Is there anything that you would have done different?
No, I don't think so.
And what's the final message that you would like to give to the people in this interview about our act attitude with the world, probably, which is the biggest concern, no?
Yeah, the most important thing for people to know is every single day we live on this planet, we make some impact, and we get to choose what sort of impact we make. When we go shopping, what do we buy? And do we ask questions? How was it made? Did it harm the environment? Was it cruel to animals, like intensive animal farming? Is it cheap because people are being paid unfair wages? And then try and buy something made ethically. Will it cost a little bit more? Maybe, but then you value it more and you waste less, because waste is a huge problem. And these are the kind of values that we instill into the Jane Goodall Institute program for young people, Roots and Shoots, which is now in 70 countries.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.